Where will the Jewish remnant go to be nourished for a time, times, and half a time? And if God has told us in advance through His Word, do the Scriptures actually reveal the very path of their escape? The answer is yes, and the Bible doesn't leave us guessing. If you read Revelation 12 alongside Daniel, Micah, Isaiah, Hosea, and Jesus' own words in Matthew 24, you can trace both the timing and the likely path of escape for the believing Jewish remnant. The picture that emerges isn't random. It consistently points to a specific wilderness refuge east of the Jordan and the rugged ancient territories of Edom, Moab, and Ammon, what we know today as modern Jordan. For around 1,260 days, a period Revelation calls time, times, and half a time, God Himself will preserve them there, far from the reach of the Antichrist. Jesus gives the trigger point with unmistakable urgency. When you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet Daniel standing in the holy place, then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Matthew 24:15-16. He warns them not to go back for their cloak, not to hesitate, and to pray that this flight is not in winter or on the Sabbath. That moment marks the midpoint of the final 7 years in Daniel 9:27, when the covenant is broken and the Great Tribulation begins. The same time period Daniel describes as a time of trouble such as never has been, Daniel 12:1, and time, times, and half a time, Daniel 7:25 and Daniel 12:7. Revelation identifies exactly who flees, where they go, and for how long. The woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God, in which she is to be nourished for 1,260 days. Revelation 12:6. This is repeated in verse 14. The woman was given the 2 wings of the great eagle, so that she might fly from the serpent into the wilderness, to be nourished for a time, and times, and half a time. The woman is Israel, unmistakably identified in Revelation 12:1-5 by the sun, moon, and 12 stars from Joseph's dream in Genesis 37:9-10. The wilderness isn't a vague desert. In the biblical sense, it is a desolate but inhabitable refuge, a place beyond the reach of urban centers, often on the other side of natural barriers. The Greek word topos means a specific location prepared beforehand, while trepho means to feed, sustain, rear, language of direct personal provision. Daniel gives us the first geographic marker. As the Antichrist invades, he shall come into the glorious land, but these shall be delivered out of his hand, Edom and Moab and the main parts of the Ammonites. Daniel 11:41. This is a precise clue. These ancient territories are all in the Transjordan highlands of present-day Jordan. The prophecy singles out the very region of the east of the Dead Sea as outside His control, functioning as a divinely preserved sanctuary zone. Isaiah and Micah fill in what happens there. Isaiah 16 addresses Moab almost as if preparing them for this very event. Give counsel, grant justice, make your shade like night at the height of noon. Shelter the outcasts, do not reveal the fugitive. Let the outcasts of Moab sojourn among you. Be a shelter to them from the destroyer. Isaiah 16:3-4. Before this, Isaiah gives a striking location marker. Send the lamb to the ruler of the land from Selah, by the way of the desert, to the mount of the daughter of Zion. Isaiah 16:1. Selah means rock, and is often associated with Petra, the rock-hewn stronghold of Edom, hidden deep within sandstone cliffs. Micah 2:12 adds, I will surely gather all of you, O Jacob, like sheep in a fold. And the Hebrew word for fold here is Bozrah, a fortified Edomite site near modern Busera. The very next verse pictures the breakout under divine leadership. Their king passes on before them, the Lord at their head. Micah 2:13. Isaiah 33:16 promises He will dwell on the heights. His place of defense will be the fortresses of rocks. His bread will be given him. His water will be sure. Revelation 12:15-16 describes what happens on the way. The serpent spews water like a river to sweep the woman away, but the earth came to help of the woman and swallowed the river. Whether this flood is a literal torrent, a sudden flash flood in the wadis, or a metaphor for an overwhelming surge of troops, the message is clear. The very terrain will rise to her defense, much like the Jordan River stood still in Joshua 3 or the ground opened under Korah in Numbers 16. From here, you can trace the likely escape corridors on the map. For those in Jerusalem, the quickest eastern route is down the steep ascent of Edom to Jericho through Wadi Kelt, a road the Good Samaritan parable later made famous. From Jericho, the remnant would press toward the Jordan River, a crossing near Qasr al-Yahud, the same region where Israel entered the land under Joshua, or the northern Alanbai King Hussein Bridge would take them into the Moabite plateau northwest of the Dead Sea. From the Jordan's eastern bank, the ancient King's Highway stretches south through the highlands. The route passes Mount Nebo, where God showed Moses the promised land before his death, then through Madaba's mosaic-rich hills and Dibon, a city mentioned on the Moabite stone. The path drops into deep Arnon Gorge, known today as Wadi Mujib, its towering canyon walls and narrow passes forming natural choke points against pursuers. South of the Arnon, the route skirts Kerak, the massive Kur of Moab, before descending toward the Zered River, Wadi al-Hassa, marking the ancient border of Edom. Beyond the Zered, the red sandstone mountains of Seir rise. Here lies Petra, the Selah of Isaiah 16:1, reached through the winding Sik, a narrow slot canyon flanked by cliffs that tower hundreds of feet above. This natural fortress opens into the hidden valleys and caves, and further south lies Bozrah, the sheepfold of Micah's prophecy, a place ringed by sheer rock walls and difficult approaches. Isaiah's words about fortresses of rocks and bread and water sure take on a literal geographic reality here. Once gathered, God's care recalls the Exodus, the wings of the great eagle, and Revelation 12:14 echo Exodus 19:14, and Deuteronomy 32:11. Imagery of swift divine rescue. In the desert before, he provided manna, quail, and water from the rock, Exodus 16:17. He fed Elijah by ravens and by an angel's hand, 1 Kings 17:19, 5-8. Isaiah promises bread and sure water. Hosea 2:14-15 speaks of God alluring Israel into the wilderness to speak tenderly, restoring covenant love, and turning the valley of Achor, the valley of trouble, into a door of hope. The deliverance's conclusion is foreshadowed in Isaiah 63:1-3. Who is this who comes from Edom in crimson garments from Bozrah? I have trodden the winepress alone. This aligns with Deuteronomy 33:2 and Habakkuk 3:3, which show the Lord coming from the south, Sinai, Seir, Paran, up toward Zion. Micah 2:13's breakout imagery fits perfectly. The king leading his flock out of the rock fold. Zechariah 14:4-5 then describes his arrival at the Mount of Olives, splitting it in two and rescuing those still trapped in Jerusalem. Put it all together and the escape route unfolds like a prophecy-driven map. The Abomination of Desolation triggers the flight. Believers in Judea surge east toward the Jordan Valley. They cross into Moab, travel south along the King's Highway through its ancient cities and gorges, cross into Edom's mountains, find shelter in the fortresses of Selah, Petra, and Bozrah. They're nourished for 1,260 days under God's direct care, and at the appointed time, the Messiah comes from Edom to Zion, his garments already stained from judgment, leading the remnant he has refined and preserved. The wilderness becomes both furnace and cradle, a place of refining, protection, and preparation for the return of the King. And if this opened your eyes, don't just scroll away. Hit that like and subscribe so you can keep up with more biblical prophecy that's brought to life. The best and earliest warnings you're ever going to hear. Comment your thoughts down below and share this with someone who's seeking the truth before it's too late. God bless you all and your families. Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters. Maranatha.